Hello, I'm Commissioner Ben Hovland with the United States Election Assistance Commission. May is Military Appreciation Month. As part of the EAC's recognition, we will be interviewing election officials from areas with significant military voter populations to learn more about military voting and how election officials assist service members. Today, I'm pleased to speak with Craig Latimer, who is the Supervisor of Elections for Hillsborough County, Florida. Thank you, Mr. Latimer, for joining us today. To start off with, for those watching who are less familiar with Hillsborough County or only know about the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, actually, it's Champa Bay because we also won the Stanley Cup this last year, in addition to the Super Bowl. But Tampa
Absolutely.
is the seat of Hillsborough County. We're the fourth largest county in the state, with about 977,000 registered voters.
And you've got MacDill Air Force Base there, and a significant military population and veterans as well, right?
That is correct. MacDill Air Force Base is in the southern tip of the county and the city. Actually, I grew up about 3 miles from MacDill Air Force Base and spent a lot of time there. So yes, that is a large establishment there.
Great. As we look at administering elections and particularly, the challenges associated with military and overseas voters, as someone who's done that and has a big military and overseas population, can you talk about how you've overcome some of those challenges?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious thing is communication. That's the biggest thing that we try and constantly communicate with our overseas voters, be it military or civilian overseas. And between federal law and Florida state law, there's some great practices in place where we're always sending that notice out 90 days before a primary or a general election to let them know to get ready. And also, we right now we're handling over 4,000 overseas voters that we deal with the bulk of that being our military.
Great. And can you talk about any special programs or initiatives that you've developed or implemented, or lessons learned out of programs or efforts? You mentioned federal law and state law, some of the ways that guides you, but know again that you're doing a great job in Hillsborough County. So would love to hear about that and share it with folks around the country.
Yeah, so one of the biggest things is getting to know your community. We actually go on base. We do voter registration drives. They've got a liaison from the base that we work with. And I know FVAP has a presence too, and they do a tremendous amount. But we go out there and do voter registration. We engage with the people. I tell you, I'm an honorary commander of MacDill Air Force Base. So I get involved out there too. And, just trying to get that word out. That's the biggest thing that we have. Staying in touch. We also we have a monthly newsletter that we put out, and we encourage our overseas voters to subscribe to that. Just it's a click in your box is all it is. But for instance, recently we just had some changes in the law around vote by mail, and we've got a newsletter that'll be going out in the next couple of days, something to again keep the people updated. And I think the other thing is the website. We've got an absolutely full service website that anybody overseas can go to our website. They can request that vote by mail ballot there. They can update their address there online. Just a tremendous amount of information there. And of course, we have links in there to FVAP to get that information too.
That makes a lot of sense. And obviously communication is a big part of it. Would that be your biggest recommendation to other election officials, or do you have other recommendations for anyone who's maybe seeing an increase in military or overseas voters?
Yeah, in Florida here also, you can track your ballot back to my office, to any supervisor's office for that fact. And you can actually opt in to get text messages or emails so that that your ballot has gotten back to our office. The biggest thing that I recommend is constantly preaching to keep that information current. Keep that voter information current. We know our military are moving around a little bit, and we want to stay in touch with them. That's for sure. But we want them to keep the information current with us. In Florida, we can fax or email or mail a ballot to that voter. They can only fax it back or mail it back. But we want to make sure we've got the right information so that we can get in contact with them.
Great. And you mentioned our federal partners at FVAP. Obviously, they're a great resource. Are there other resources that state or federal resources that you found helpful as you work to serve military voters in your community as well as abroad?
Yeah, FVAP by far is the partner, in my opinion. And we're getting ready to have our statewide conference here, and we're going to have somebody from FVAP coming to talk to all 67 counties and a lot of staff too. But that's the biggest thing. And of course, the links that they have where the voter can sign up for that federal postcard application to be able to register and request that vote by mail ballot. Just a tremendous amount of information, and that's why we like to keep them front and center too, with links from our website.
That's great. And the last one here, do you have any recommendations for service members who've recently relocated and would like to ensure that they're election ready? You mentioned keeping your information up to date. That's a big one, but anything else that you'd throw out there?
Yeah, especially your Florida voters and my Hillsborough County voters. Get familiar with our website. There is just a tremendous amount of information on that website, and sign up for that newsletter. That's another big thing. I mean, this is something coming out monthly. And of course, as the closer we get to an election, it's talking about, we all know our overseas ballots are the first ones out, going out 45 days before the election. So we want those people to be aware of that. And social media. We put a tremendous amount of information out on social media, so they can always follow us at Hillsborough SOE. Everything's at Hillsborough SOE, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.
Those are great examples of how we know, and certainly the past election reminded us that state and local election officials, particularly your local election officials, are that trusted source of election information. And to the degree that folks like you are putting out information or communicating through social media, on the web, a great place for our service members to go and get the information about how to vote in their community or wherever they're based out of. And so we appreciate you joining us today. We appreciate all that you're doing for the voters of Hillsborough County, and thank you.
Thank you very much. And just remember, go to votehillsborough.gov for that trusted source of information.